Are you ready for the biggest mic drop in music history? Today we're pulling back the curtain on Drake's most jaw-dropping scandal, a ruthless quest for chart domination that could topple his entire empire. This isn't just another internet beef or a throwaway rumor. It's a full-blown power struggle, a war waged behind the scenes in the streaming era, and the stakes are colossal. If you think Drake's unstoppable, prepare to see the cracks in the foundation. By the end of this breakdown, you'll know exactly how Drake went from paying homage to legends like Michael Jackson to treating them like stepping stones on his climb to the top, and why that carefully crafted empire might be on the verge of total collapse. One of the most explosive stories in modern music. In the world of pop and hip-hop, few names trigger more debate, adoration, and controversy than Drake. We're talking about a global superstar who's cultivated a fan base across continents. He's racked up awards, boasted chart records, and created an endless string of hits that have dominated the airwaves. But what if I told you that behind the scenes, there's a high-stakes quest unfolding? One that goes way beyond friendly competition or chart bragging rights. Drake has made no secret of his ambitions. He loves to highlight his achievements, from sold-out tours to record-breaking streams. Yet, beneath the sparkle of his accolades, there's a deeper, more tactical game at play. We'll unravel how Drake's pursuit of total supremacy in the music industry may have led him down a path that's simultaneously brilliant and troubling. We'll reveal the cunning strategies he's deployed to climb the charts, the feuds that ignite behind the microphones, and the money that flows when he seizes a coveted #1 spot. Most importantly, we'll explore how Michael Jackson's legacy became Drake's ultimate measuring stick, and how that rivalry set off alarms in the music community. Because once you target an icon like MJ, you're not just chasing a record, you're challenging the entire history of pop culture. This scandal, as you'll see, has everything: money, power, marketing genius, and the unraveling of illusions that once seemed unbreakable. So, if you're fascinated by how superstars really maintain their grip on the top, how streaming, feuds, collaborations, and cunning release strategies factor in, brace yourself. This deep dive pulls zero punches. By the time we're done, you'll question whether Drake's method to become the greatest is truly sustainable or just a house of cards, ready to crumble under the weight of its own hype. To understand the scandal that's now rocking Drake's empire, let's roll back the clock. Aubrey Drake Graham first caught the public eye on the Canadian teen drama Degrassi, The Next Generation, where he played the wheelchair-bound Jimmy Brooks. It was an unconventional gateway into hip-hop stardom, but Drake leveraged the show's popularity to begin releasing his early mixtapes. As he gained traction, major cosigns from established rap heavyweights, like Lil Wayne, catapulted him into the mainstream. Drake's melodic rap style, fused with R&B-like singing, struck a chord with an audience hungry for something fresh. The result? A near-instant phenomenon. Tracks like Best I Ever Had and Successful proved that Drake wasn't just a passing fad. He was here to stay, and he was ready to ascend the music hierarchy. In his early years, Drake famously displayed his admiration for the greats. He would cite artists like Jay-Z, Kanye West, and even the king of pop, Michael Jackson, as major influences. The public saw this as genuine reverence, a rising talent paying tribute to the icons who paved the way. This humility, or at least perceived humility, helped Drake gain legitimacy in a rap world that often tests newcomers with suspicion. He wasn't storming the stage claiming immediate greatness. He was acknowledging the legends first. That approach, ironically, laid a foundation that would later be weaponized for a more ambitious purpose. Because once you align yourself with the greats, comparisons become easier to draw. At this point, Drake was riding a wave of goodwill. Critics praised his lyrical introspection, while fans embraced the honesty and relatability of his music. It looked like he had a golden path to stardom, especially after Take Care dropped and solidified his position as a top-tier artist. Collaborations with mentors and legendary samples in his tracks added to the narrative of Drake as a respectful disciple of the greats. But as the years passed and the accolades stacked up, a new hunger seemed to emerge. Respect was no longer enough. Drake had experienced the taste of triumph, and he wanted more than just awards or recognition. He wanted undisputed supremacy. Gradually, Drake's focus shifted from earning respect within the rap community to outright dominance across every aspect of popular music. This transition didn't happen overnight. It evolved through chart victories, sold-out tours, and numerous high-profile feuds. The mild-mannered Toronto kid, who once bowed to his idols, was morphing into a figure who saw chart records as trophies meant to be taken, no matter who he had to overshadow in the process. One clear signal of Drake's growing ambition was his broadening musical style. He embraced Caribbean and Afrobeat influences, ventured into dance music, and kept forging collaborations that defied genre borders. This wasn't just an artist experimenting. It was a strategic move to expand his global appeal. By bridging different genres, Drake wasn't confined to the rap charts alone. He was setting his sights on the entire musical spectrum. Pop, rap, R&B, dancehall, Afrofusion. Nothing was off limits. It's one thing to pay homage to your inspirations. It's another to subtly position yourself as their successor. Listeners began to notice how Drake frequently invoked names of iconic performers in his lyrics or promotional campaigns. Sometimes he'd sample a classic track or feature a snippet of an iconic tune. On the surface, it seemed respectful. But over time, the pattern grew clear. Drake was carefully weaving himself into the same conversation as these titans of the industry. Was it merely a tribute, or was it a strategic ploy to create a narrative that Drake was the new face of ultimate stardom, surpassing even his idols? Judging by the intensifying rhetoric online and the behind-the-scenes machinations we'll explore, many believed it was the latter. When you think of legends like Michael Jackson, you imagine physical album sales, vinyl records, cassettes, CDs. The measure of success was often how many copies you could move, how long your single stayed on Billboard, and how often radio stations put you on heavy rotation. Those days are largely over. Streaming changed everything. Now, a single click on Spotify, Apple Music, or YouTube can count toward chart placement. Big fan bases can be mobilized instantly. No more waiting for shipments of physical albums or encouraging fans to get in line at record stores. Artists who can manipulate streaming numbers or harness them effectively are poised for rapid chart climbs. Drake excelled in this new terrain. The second he dropped a track, millions of fans around the globe would stream it repeatedly, often giving him an enormous first-week surge. That surge was frequently enough to land him at number 1, even if, by the following week, the song's numbers plummeted. Chart watchers began to notice a pattern: short-lived hits that nonetheless counted as official chart toppers. This aspect is critical because one number 1 is the same as another in the record books, regardless of how long it stays at the top. For Drake, it meant adding tally marks to his scoreboard without necessarily creating the kind of timeless anthems that remain lodged in public consciousness for months or years. We can't ignore the financial windfall that comes with a number 1 hit. Major brands see that top spot as a signal of massive popularity, opening doors to lucrative partnerships, sponsorships, and global campaigns. In today's ecosystem, a quick spike to number 1 might be more profitable than a steady single that hovers in the top 10 for weeks, especially if the goal is to amass as many number 1 hits as possible and leverage them for brand power. In essence, Drake mastered the system. He found a way to repeatedly harness the initial fan enthusiasm for each release and transform it into a surge of streams. Each short run at the top still got him the trophy. While this approach delivered repeated success, it also raised questions. Where's the artistry? Is this really about making timeless music, or is it purely a numbers game? Could Drake sustain an empire built on quick hits without risking exposure? If you trace Drake's release dates, announcements, and strategic teasers, patterns emerge. He oftentimes controversial statements or surprising collaborations to coincide with new drops. This is no accident. Controversy equals attention, and attention equals streams in the modern age. When fans or haters tune in to see what the fuss is about, they're adding to the play counts that eventually fuel chart positions. One of the most prominent examples is the rumored feud with Kendrick Lamar. At face value, you'd think it's just a rap rivalry. Both artists are top tier, each with distinctive styles. However, once you peel back the layers, you see something more tactical. Kendrick has consistently challenged Drake's claim to the throne, putting out critically acclaimed albums that stay on the charts for long stretches and collect prestigious awards, including a Pulitzer Prize. For Drake, maintaining dominance meant neutralizing any artist who threatened to share that spotlight. Hence, lyrical jabs and competitive releases escalated into an all-out race to prove who's truly number 1. The rap battle aspect might be entertaining, but behind it lies a deeper war for cultural significance. When it comes to chart supremacy, every clash or collaborative rumor can be weaponized to stoke listener interest. Ever notice how often Drake shares credits on chart-topping songs? Features with Rihanna, Future, Lil Baby, DJ Khaled, and many others have propelled him to new heights. Strategically, each collaboration taps into another artist's fan base, driving streams and boosting the chance of a number 1 debut. The Feat Drake, or Drake Feat Big Name synergy, is practically a blueprint for high-volume streaming. It's a smart tactic. Even if the track falls off quickly, Drake's discography gets yet another number 1 notch. In contrast, legends of earlier eras often had to stand on their own name. The advantage of the streaming era, and these team-ups can accelerate chart performance in ways that simply weren't available to artists decades ago. Michael Jackson isn't just any legend. He's arguably the legend, the king of pop who redefined what it meant to be a global superstar. His chart records, album sales, and cultural impact are virtually unmatched. For Drake, surpassing MJ in any numerical category, especially the number of number 1 singles, would signify a triumph so massive that it would rewrite pop history. And rewriting music history often means rewriting your paycheck, your brand deals, and your bargaining power. Those who follow the music charts closely have seen Drake inch closer to, and sometimes surpass, records held by the Beatles, Elvis Presley, and other icons. But Michael Jackson remained the ultimate prize. It wasn't just about tying or beating MJ's chart stats. It was about claiming that a new era had arrived, one where Drake stands as the undisputed champion of the modern music landscape. But the difference between Jackson's chart toppers and Drake's approach is night and day. MJ's hits often lived at number one for weeks or, in some cases, dominated entire album cycles that spanned months. Drake's formula often relies on lightning-fast climbs and equally quick descents. It's not to say his songs haven't had staying power. Some do, but many of these number ones are short-lived. Each still counts, though, allowing him to rack up large totals in less time. The scandal truly erupted when Drake's newest single, positioned to finally outdo an MJ record, failed to lock down that precious top spot. Suddenly, people noticed the cracks. All the behind-the-scenes manipulation, the timing, the controversies. It seemed to have run out of steam. The narrative that Drake was unstoppable started to crumble, as critics and fans alike scrutinized how legitimate these accomplishments were. The storyline became more than just a missed chart peak. It was a sign that Drake's entire method, riding first-week hype, sprinkling in big-name features, stirring up feuds, could falter if the music didn't sustain interest. And if there was one single that needed to hold strong, it was the track that could have dethroned Michael Jackson. Falling short at that crucial moment cast a harsh light on the authenticity of Drake's claim to be the modern king of music. Think about it this way. When Michael Jackson released a hit, it often became a cultural event. Entire dance styles were born, music videos became cinematic spectacles, and the songs lived on for years, if not decades. Drake's approach, while undeniably successful in generating streams, often doesn't linger in the cultural zeitgeist for that long. Some songs do, but many top tracks vanish from rotation in a month or two. That discrepancy is huge. It raises the question, does a flood of quick-hit singles really equal legendary status? Or is longevity a necessary ingredient to claim the kind of throne MJ occupied? Right when Drake aimed for MJ's record, Kendrick Lamar dropped new material that proved to be a formidable obstacle. Whether or not it was a direct, intentional block, the optics suggest that Drake got outmaneuvered by an artist who relies more on cohesive albums and lasting cultural resonance than quick, hype-driven singles. It was a moment that highlighted just how fragile Drake's streaming-based empire could be when forced to compete with a different approach. Fans aren't clueless. While Drake's core loyalists will defend him, the broader audience has begun questioning whether these high chart positions reflect genuine iconic status or just ephemeral hype. This skepticism is especially pronounced when comparing him to timeless legends. The cracks aren't just about failing to beat MJ, they're about a paradigm shift in how people judge musical greatness in a streaming era. Rumors persist that Billboard and other chart authorities might tweak their rules again to curb tactics like bundling merch with digital albums or releasing multiple versions of a track to inflate streaming counts. If such changes become more restrictive, Drake's formula might lose its edge. His team undoubtedly recognizes this, which adds another layer of urgency to dethroning icons now, before the rulebook evolves. Let's not overlook the financial and branding aspects. Being known as the artist who beat Michael Jackson's #1 record isn't just a historical footnote, it's a massive marketing weapon. This single achievement can be spun into press releases, etched into brand partnerships, or leveraged in negotiations for everything from record deals to global endorsements. The moment you can claim you've done what even MJ never did, you're stepping into a new tier of celebrity power. However, empire-building tactics often come with a price. If the music itself is overshadowed by the chase for chart records, fans begin to feel the hollowness. People who might have once praised Drake's emotional openness in tracks like Marvin's Room or Jungle may now see a machine cranking out hits engineered for maximum stream bursts. Even though Drake has continued releasing heartfelt songs, the overshadowing narrative of "I must dethrone MJ" can overshadow his artistry. In the modern music business, large labels and investors look at metrics. Streams, social media engagement, brand partnerships. All of these factor into how an artist is funded and promoted. Drake's consistent ability to deliver #1 hits, even if briefly, reassures stakeholders that he's a safe bet. The second that pattern falters, though, the conversation can quickly shift. Corporate partners might turn their attention to emerging stars who can generate the same hype for a fraction of the cost. Many speculate that Drake's team maintains a playbook of sorts, an ever-evolving strategy that dictates when to drop singles, how to stir controversy on social media, and which features to line up. Disputes with other artists can be deliberately timed, or at least escalated, to keep Drake's name trending. From cryptic Instagram stories to sudden release date reveals, everything is orchestrated for maximum impact. Some fans and industry insiders have whispered about the possibility of streaming farms, artificially boosting numbers. Essentially large networks of devices set up to play tracks repeatedly. While no direct evidence has linked Drake to such practices, the rumor alone illustrates how suspicious the public has become about chart manipulations. These allegations grow louder when a song experiences a suspiciously huge spike and a subsequent dramatic drop-off. In certain collaborations, Drake's verse or hook overshadowed the primary artist, fueling speculation that he's using features to fortify his own chart position rather than genuinely celebrate other talents. Of course, collaborations often benefit everyone involved, but the repeated pattern makes people wonder whether Drake meticulously picks partnerships he knows will help catapult him to another quick number one. One of the most jarring shifts in public perception has been the idea that Drake might have moved from inspired student of the legends to someone actively trying to dethrone them. The question isn't merely academic. It strikes at the heart of what fans love about music: the legacy, the artistry, the sense of respect for cultural trailblazers. If Drake is now seen as someone stepping on icons to elevate himself, that tarnishes the humility and relatability that were key parts of his original appeal. Platforms like Twitter, TikTok, and Reddit are ablaze with threads and videos dissecting Drake's chart performance, comparing it to MJ's sustained dominance, and debating whether streaming-era achievements are legit. You'll find everything from conspiracy theories to thoughtful analysis. As fans battle it out, the controversy itself fuels Drake's publicity, paradoxically proving that even negative buzz can keep him in the spotlight. Music journalists and critics are increasingly vocal about the quick fling number one phenomenon. While many still respect Drake's talent, a growing number question whether he's gaming the system. Articles and YouTube commentary videos about the fallacy of streaming records become clickbait gold. The result? Even more attention is thrown onto this scandal, ironically amplifying Drake's presence in public discourse. Despite the hiccup, does anyone really think Drake will stop aiming for that elusive surpassing of MJ? Most analysts predict he'll regroup, examine what went wrong, and concoct another strategy. Maybe a surprise joint album, maybe a high-profile cameo at a major event. The hunger for that kind of milestone doesn't just vanish overnight, especially when the financial incentives are enormous. Kendrick's presence isn't going away. If anything, his critical and commercial success stands as a continual reminder that not all artists chase quick hits. Some aim for cultural impact that endures well beyond the first week. This difference in philosophies could ensure the Drake-Kendrick rivalry simmers for years to come, sparking debates about what real greatness in music looks like. Drake might attempt a rebranding at some point, emphasizing artistry, taking more time between releases, focusing on deeper thematic albums, to counter the criticism that he's only chasing fleeting chart wins. If he chooses that path, it might be an effort to prove he can create the kind of lasting cultural staples that icons like MJ did. On the flip side, if he continues playing the short game, we might see him face an even larger backlash, especially if fans feel it's all just a hustle for more number one hits. This tension between art and commerce has never been more pronounced in Drake's career than it is now. This isn't just about Drake versus MJ, it's a microcosm of how the music industry has evolved. As streaming takes center stage, classic yardsticks for measuring success, like physical sales and airplay longevity, have been pushed aside. Artists who adapt to the new rules can skyrocket to success faster than ever, but the ephemeral nature of these hits raises a critical question. Are we mistaking quantity for quality? Fans wield unprecedented power in the streaming era. The moment a track drops, they can push it to number one if they listen often enough. But fans can also turn away just as quickly if they feel exploited by marketing gimmicks. That dynamic makes or breaks modern stars. Drake capitalized on it, but now stands at a tipping point where fan perception could shift dramatically. When you target a legend like Michael Jackson, you're effectively stepping into a cultural battlefield. MJ's legacy spans decades, continents, and generations, with fans who are fiercely protective of his musical contributions. For Drake to surpass MJ on paper while lacking the same kind of enduring cultural footprint is bound to spark heated debates about the authenticity of these modern records. So, where do we end up after dissecting this sprawling scandal? One that involves chart manipulation, or at least strategic exploitation, bold attempts to dethrone music's greatest icons, and a precarious empire built on first-week spikes? Drake's strategy, leveraging streaming, orchestrating feuds, timing controversies, is brilliant from a marketing standpoint, but vulnerable once the music fails to sustain its momentum. Michael Jackson's legacy, built on weeks-long chart reigns and epic-defining hits, remains a formidable benchmark that can't be overshadowed by short-lived streaming stunts. Kendrick Lamar's role, as a blocking force, highlights the clash between fleeting hype and meticulously crafted, culturally resonant work. Ultimately, Drake stands at a crossroads. Will he double down on his pursuit of MJ's record, or recalibrate his approach and focus on producing the kind of timeless hits that truly merit the crown? We want your thoughts. Do you believe Drake can eventually break MJ's record in a way that feels authentic? How important is chart longevity versus quick number one debuts for you, as a music fan? Does this scandal change your perception of Drake as an artist? Share your opinions in the comments. Your voice matters because every single stream and every social media share fuels the destiny of modern music. Whether you think Drake is a genius, a manipulator, or somewhere in between, let's spark the conversation. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, or you just enjoy diving into the drama behind the industry's biggest names, smash that like button and hit subscribe. We're only scratching the surface of how power, money, and influence shape the music world. This is your chance to stay plugged into all the behind-the-scenes moves. So there you have it, the real story behind Drake's meteoric chart success, his battle to overshadow legends like Michael Jackson, and the fraud empire he's built in the streaming era. We've peeled back the layers of controversy, hype, and the cunning mechanics that drive Drake's quest to dominate every corner of the industry. Yet, for all the marketing brilliance on display, the cracks are impossible to ignore. As you log off from this deep dive, remember, music is about more than just numbers. It's about cultural footprints, the shared memories songs create, and the legacy that endures long after the headlines fade. Drake's saga reminds us that no record is safe from technological shifts or a determined challenger. But it also underscores that no amount of streaming manipulation can replace the resonance of a genuine classic, a track that stands the test of time, streaming era or not. Thanks for watching and sticking with us till the end. Keep questioning, keep listening, and keep the conversation alive. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and get ready for the next scandal that'll rock the industry.